Hello again. Welcome back to segment 3 of Girl Scouts of NYPENN Pathways Babysitting course. I'm Melanie Moon, Community Recruitment Manager, and with me is my beautiful co-host and Junior Girl Scout, Molly.
Hello.
So last time we left off on the fact that we were going to talk about decision making. So why don't you start us off, Molly?
So, decision making. As a babysitter, you might have to decide how to handle a challenging situation on your own. This is the main reason the parents hired you. Parents rely on you to make good decisions when they can't. If you are faced with a tough situation, use the find decision making a model to help decide what to do.
So the find decision making model, FIND. Step 1. F. Figure out the problem. Focus on the exact problem that is causing trouble.
Step 2. I for identify possible solutions. Think about all the possible ways you could solve the problem.
Step 3. N. Name the pros and cons for each solution. Think about the positive and negative consequences for each way to solve the problem.
Step 4. D. Decide which solution is best, then act on it. Decide which solution is best, then take action.
So let's use the example of bedtime because every kid loves going to bed, right, Molly?
Just me. I think I'm the only one who actually likes it, and I enjoy it.
So in this example, we'll say that Harrison doesn't want to go to bed and you're babysitting him. So as the babysitter, figuring out the problem is easy. Harrison doesn't want to go to bed, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna move on to step 2. Identify possible solutions. So Molly, what are some things we could do to make Harrison go to bed?
You could put on a meditation that they might enjoy and try and calm them, which might increase the possibility of them falling asleep.
That's a good suggestion. You could also read him another book.
And if they don't fall asleep by then, try another.
You could give them a glass of water, a glass of milk, because as you know, some kids come out of their room because they just want one more glass of water. They just want a little attention. So giving them a little bit of that attention and give them a glass of water would be good.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of anything else?
No, not really.
You could bribe them.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to sleep now, I'll give you a lollipop. Okay, so now we have a few solutions. Now we're going to name the pros and cons for each solution. So the first solution you had was playing a meditation. What are the pros and cons of that solution?
So the pros are increases the chance of them falling asleep. The con is if they don't like it, they will throw a temper tantrum probably.
Yeah. Plus, it depends on what kind of device you're using. If the child has like an Alexa or some other device already in their room, that's perfectly fine because once they fall asleep, well, it's already in the room. However, if you're using your own device, again, now you've got to kind of figure that out because if you leave the device in the child's room and they fall asleep, don't forget it because now your device is in your kid's room. You also want to make sure that your volume's turned off because the last thing you want is a sleepy child almost out and then ding, some kind of notification rings up on your phone. Yep, back to square one. So, what's another solution that we had mentioned? Reading another book, right? Okay, what are the pros and cons of that solution?
So I think the pros are that they might relax, they might be calmer, and they might fall asleep to the book. The cons are kind of hard to figure out, but one that might be possible is that they might not like the book and they might ask for you to read another. If you do, they will probably ask to read another and another and another. And next thing you know, you're up till midnight reading books.
Well, I don't think you would get that far, but yeah, it reminds a lot of if you give a mouse a cookie kind of situation. So that's a definite con. So our solution was bribing. So the pro and con of this, yeah, the pro, it may get you the solution that you want and the kid's going to go to sleep. But the con is, can you really fulfill that promise?
Because you could be like, I'm gonna give you, because if they don't, some kids are very picky, and if you're like, I'm gonna give you a lollipop, and they're like, no, I want more, and you say you'll give them more than one lollipop, like a giant lollipop per se, then they agree, and you have no giant lollipop, so you cannot fulfill that promise.
Or if you said you would give them a lollipop and you leave one with mom and dad, and then mom and dad say, no, we're not giving them a lollipop, you just go to bed. So now you've made a promise that you're not keeping. So you're not building trust. Plus, what kind of relationship is that you're setting with the child? That you're going to only give things or have them listen if they do something else for you or if you do something for them? That's not a good establishment of a relationship. So definitely the bribery is not the way to go. The other solution that we came up with giving a glass of water. So, can you think of a pro to this?
The pro is that it might calm the body, and people not once they're relaxed in bed, they don't have a reason to get up.
True. The con I can think of, they wet the bed.
Yeah.
So, and something to weigh out. So then, I think those are all our solutions. And okay, now we're on to step 4. Decide which solution is best. So, Molly, out of those solutions, what do you think is the best one for you to do?
I personally think I know that the bribing is not the way to go because they have serious solutions. Like this solution is not the greatest solution.
Agreed.
The glass of water is probably pretty good, but I don't know if it would be the greatest because I don't think the parents would like it. The kid coming down, waking them up, and be like, "I wet the bed." I don't think that would be great. So that one's out of the way. And then, so it's the meditation and then the book.
Mhm.
I personally think that both of them would be pretty good. So if you want to choose either one of them, go for it. Because if they don't like that book, if they don't like the meditation or that book, get a new do a new one. And just not do the one that they don't want. The let them pick the book or the meditation that they're going to listen to.
Cool. Good solution making. Do you feel confident in your solution?
Yes, I really do.
Awesome. And this is where it's a little subjective because you need to decide what solution is best for you and the kids that you're dealing with. Will the solution be the same every single time?
No.
Nope. So think about all the possible solutions and the ways that you go through that bind decision making model. And I think you'll find that decisions are pretty easy. We encourage you to try this at home, not just with babysitting, but with everyday problems that you come across. So you're hungry. What are you going to do? Think of all the possible solutions, think of the pros and cons for each of those solutions, and then decide. So that is your new challenge. Now we're going to do an activity. So if you're watching alone, you get to be your own group. If you're watching with a group of friends, we want you to work together. So maybe siblings, parents, things like that. So you are now on a deserted island. Ooh.
Not a desert island. Not a desert island. It doesn't have ice cream and sweets. No.
So this island contains sand and one palm tree. There are no people.
Okay.
Help is not on the way. No. You have to work with your group or by yourself. You're going to rank each of the following items in order of importance for survival on a deserted island. The first item you have is a flare gun with one flare.
I'm not sure that would be very useful because if you needed, if there were fish around you, you could get one fish and you could eat and then have nothing else. Um, I don't think it would be the greatest thing to have
Well,
because
why don't we list off all the items and let's discuss and see where we're at. So, again, the first item is the flare gun with one flare. Your second item is a tarp. Third item, wine, which is like rope. The fourth item is a pair of eyeglasses. The fifth item is an umbrella. The sixth item is nylon stockings or pantyhose. Same thing. And the last item is a hunting knife. So again, those items are a flare gun with one flare, a tarp, twine, a pair of eyeglasses, an umbrella, nylon stockings or pantyhose, and a hunting knife. You have a few minutes now to talk amongst yourself and figure out what order those would be in. All right. So, what did you come up with?
Please list them down below. Please, we beg you.
So, the key thing is there's no right and no wrong answer for all of these. These are all useful items. It's just a matter of what you would use them for.
Mhm.
So, here is where what we would recommend as the answer. So, all of these items are important. Although there is no right or wrong answer for the activity, collecting water is the most important step to surviving on a deserted island, followed by gathering food and finding shelter from the sun. The tarp and umbrella could collect rainwater. These items could also provide shelter from the sun. The twine could be used to tie up the tarp, and along with the nylon stockings, be used to make fishing nets for catching food. The eyeglasses could be used to start a fire to cook the fish. And while the flare gun and the hunting knife are both useful, they are probably the least helpful items for collecting water, gathering food, and providing shelter from the sun. How'd everybody do?
If you already put your response in the comment, if you need to, you may want to write what you might need to change about it if you need to. Not saying you have to. It's not like you have to do this. It's like if you want to, you may do that because we want to see your feedback or what you have done.
I want to get serious for a minute and talk about something that's important. Child abuse and neglect. Child abuse is the term for hurting a child emotionally or sexually. Child neglect is the failure to provide the child's basic needs. So, some indications of child abuse and neglect include unexplained bruises, burns, or scars. Often, physically abused children are afraid of contact, such as hugging or being held. Having a low self esteem, being very sad or crying a lot, acting quiet, or being very loud and aggressive. A fear of undressing or having physical contact with anyone. The child may have signs of sexual abuse or physical abuse. Being left alone for long periods of time or in dangerous situations. Some neglected children may be dressed improperly or worn out clothing and display a lack of cleanliness or overly concerned with cleanliness and may beg or steal food or money. All kids get bruises and sometimes are sad or cry, but if you notice these signs continuing over time, the child might be abused. If you think a child in your care is being abused or is being abused, how you act is really important. Your actions can protect the child. Tell an adult you trust, like a parent or guardian or a teacher, about your concerns and ask them for their help. If you're unsure, you can talk to a professional crisis counselor 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by calling the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline, which is 1-800-4A-CHILD. That's 1-800-422-4453. Call the police if you feel the situation is life-threatening. You have a big responsibility as a babysitter. And please remember, this is really important. We have fun and we like talking about the decision-making model and playing games and enjoying it. But remember, it's really important and the safety of the children are in your hands.
Some kids are very unfortunate and they face these problems. And if you don't, and you think, well, I don't have this, so my life's terrible, think about the other kids who don't actually have anything. Like, it's, it's sad to think about it. And yeah, it's just not the greatest.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, leaving on a sad note, next time we meet together, we're going to be talking about role model. Drum roll. What kind of babysitter are you? So, we're going to talk about the business of babysitting. That's money. Until then, have a wonderful day. We're glad you joined us. Peace out, Girl Scout.